That's Jungle Boy. You need to check out All Elite.
We are the Lucha Brothers, and you listen All Elite Podcast.
You know why?
Hey, this is Cole Cabana. Check out the All Elite Podcast. All Elite. All Elite.
This is Sammy Guevara, the best ever. And you, yes, you, need to go check out All Elite Podcast.
Myself, the man with the huge effort arms, Brian Cage. You're watching the All Elite Podcast. Who better?
We are back, All Elite family, for another exciting edition of the All Elite Podcast. As always, I'm your host, All Elite Andy, and I'm joined by my guy, Big Match AJ. Fresh off an episode of Dynamite last night. We are here on Thursday, as always. AJ, how you doing?
Doing good. I got a film that's about done. It's like a quarantine thing we did. I told you about it, but I'm gonna.
You gotta tell the listeners about it, bro. Let them know.
Well, I'm gonna be like either uploading it if I can't put it in any quarantine festivals, because that's a thing apparently.
Nice.
And if not, then I'll link it in my Twitter and tell you guys about it.
Sweet, man. I'm looking forward to that. That's really dope. That's exciting. That's fun. My week has been busy. Not as fun, but I'm getting back to, like I said, my last semester at college. I think I mentioned it on our last episode. And, yeah, it's been busy. Kept me busy on Tuesday, so we weren't able to do our show on Tuesday. Sorry if y'all were looking forward to that. We will be back.
You're going to be busier.
Well, yeah, a little bit. Once I know what the internships have in store for me, I'll know exactly how much busier I'll be. But yeah, I'm going to be busier. I don't even want to admit it, but as you say that, yes, that is very true. I will be busier, but we should still be running on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least tentatively. If stuff changes and we're not able to run Tuesdays, we'll let you know on Twitter. But nonetheless, we've been busy, but it's been fun. AEW's been a lot of fun. AEW's been pretty busy this week. I thought they had something interesting going on with the Aew Awards. They started running that this week. That's fun, especially with them having a full year under their belt this year. It actually makes all the sense in the world to do this, but it wasn't something I was thinking about. What do you think about this?
I liked it a lot. I was thinking like, wow, that's a cool ass idea. Like I know there's like Observer Awards and like fan awards on like Reddit and whatever website you go on for the IWC. But I never thought about a company doing their own awards. Like WWE does the Slammies, but you don't get to vote on that. Like there's no fan input there, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if like the fan input does count for something, that's a lot of fun, and it seems like it does. I don't see why you'd even put it together and let fans vote if it doesn't. But yeah, there's some cool stuff like best moments on the mic.
I think it's a TNT thing too, right?
Yeah, TNT AEW Awards, so that's cool. They have a link to it probably on Twitter. You could just search up AEW Awards. Make sure you go vote. They got best moments on the mic, biggest surprise, biggest beatdown, high flyer award, hardest moment to clean up. Best Twitter follow.
I voted for the orange juice for that one. That was tough though.
And the thing that's smart, and I voted with that one too. But the thing that's smart too is it's not like best wrestler of the year or nothing's essentially into that direct area. Like best high flyer, you can do stuff like that because it's not really gonna make anybody look bad for not winning it because they're all great high flyers. And I think that it would be fine if they did best wrestler of the year award or something, but this keeps it semi-serious but not too serious, so it makes it fun.
It was like the LOL moment of the year and stuff like that.
Exactly, and stuff to just obviously show we're not doing like observer level awards, but we're going to do something fun just to recognize the year. And I think that should be a fun episode of Dynamite because we'll probably get a bunch of just recap clips of stuff that had happened, and that should be a lot of fun. So, in other AEW news, there's some rumors going around that Ricochet might not re-sign with WWE. That's not direct AEW news, but as AEW fans, we bring it up because we're hoping and praying, like AJ is over there, that Ricochet pulls up to AEW, even if just for a pit stop on his way to New Japan or something.
Yeah.
It would be very awesome, I think, to see Ricochet in an AEW ring. He could easily still end up re-signing with WWE, but the speculation is out there, so.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I don't even care if AEW is like, we'll let you work New Japan like Moxley and Jericho. Ricochet's worth it, man.
I'd agree. I think that Ricochet is like a superstar level talent, especially in a company like AEW, where someone who might...
I don't know how over in WWE he is. That's not the point. He is fucking incredible.
And that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't necessarily know his star power, but I think just going there kind of adds a little bit to his name that he had already established it with matches like Will Ospreay and stuff. So
Yeah.
I hope we get to see him in AEW ring. I think that he would be someone that would be a priority signing if I'm Tony Khan. I think that Ricochet could be, like I said, a superstar, like one of the top guys in the company if booked correctly. Just because of the varying factors that make him likable to many different audiences. So I'll be surprised if WWE lets him go, but it's something in the rumor mill. Figure we bring it up, but worth noting.
And like, if he's starting all these rumors, good for him, because like he deserves more money, wherever he's at.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially if they are hitting him with one of those lowball offers. And I get it; they're coming out of the situation as a business in the pandemic. But with a talent like Ricochet, I can't say it would be shocking because they've let a lot of talented guys go, which has kind of been
Good
a benefit
brothers.
for AEW. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm thinking about. Where they've let some super talented guys go because they didn't necessarily want to pay that. And in a sense, it's whatever the wrestler wants, honestly. So if they're down to take a pay cut or whatever for the creative freedom, or maybe it's not even a pay cut in the grand scheme of things. So again,
I think that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the key difference with Ricochet is like, I feel like I've seen some of his WWE stuff, and like they're not gonna push him to the main event.
Well, and
I don't think.
I honestly don't even necessarily think for a guy like Ricochet, it's so much of the push. It's like I can go out and do so much cooler stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
In a
like,
different
not
ring.
only could he have more freedom to actually do the crazy shit he can pull off, and only he can pull off, like double moonsaults and shit.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like on the point that I'm trying to make, also he can have those moments, and like down the line, he'll definitely get a push to the top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think that it's a good idea for him. You know, it'd be cool for AEW. It's a no-brainer to bring him in. So hopefully we get to see it. That would be a lot of fun. That would be something exciting for this year. So I'll keep an eye on that one. Hopefully we get something on that. Other rumor mill stuff. Sonny Kiss has been off AEW Dynamite for about a month now, and Dark, and they had brought that up on the post Dynamite show when Tony Schiavone was asked about where Sonny Kiss was. He had mentioned something or alluded to an injury, said that Sonny Kiss was banged up. He's seen him in the training room, but then Sonny Kiss came out on Twitter to say, "Hey, I'm not actually injured. I'm doing good. I'm just in the training room stretching out." So I'm not totally sure if maybe it's another COVID situation where it's a talent who can't be involved. And that's just random speculation, and I'm only saying that because there have been random names that have come out over the last couple months where they're like, hey, in September, Jericho had COVID or Nick Jackson.
But I think if that was the case, he wouldn't be in the area even.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And that's where I don't know if it was just in general, people like Shivani just saying something as a cover-up and he's not actually there. Or if maybe it's just he's banged up, or honestly probably just not necessarily being utilized, and the question was thrown out there in a live situation, so Shivani had to do with it what he could. So again, and there's no other reason I'm speculating that Sonny could be sick outside of the randomness of it and him being gone for a month. But with Sonny Kiss coming out and saying that he's not injured or anything, it's worth saying that that's probably not the case either. That's just random me speculation on the podcast. Probably not the case. If anything, it's just Sonny not being utilized every week, and that's okay. Talent in AEW have to be comfortable with that. That's kind of why the independent wrestling thing was open for them. And hey, we're in a new year. Maybe the new show comes sooner than we think, and someone like Sonny can be featured more often. That's my excitement for it, I suppose.
I feel like they're not going to do the new show until AEW Dynamite has fans, like regular attending fans with like a lot more. But we'll see. I don't know, because I don't know what the new show is going to be, so I might not even need fans.
Yeah, I think, well, maybe I don't know. You're right that they probably would like to have a full arena for their new show, but at a point, they have to make the decision of, do we want to keep delaying this? Sort of like the Brody Lee thing. Remember when they were going to delay his debut? You can't keep pushing off the debut of this new show just because we don't have fans, because if we did that with Brody, look, he would have never showed up. You know what I mean? Like, so at a point, they will have to make a decision, I think, in that circumstance where it's like, all right, let's just start the show because we don't even know when we'll have fans. So who knows? Last bit of news, AEW picked up some decent ratings this week. Nothing too crazy. Compared to NXT, it was really good, but they just had a down week I don't know why.
Yeah,
but...
I think it's the news still because the impeachment hearing was Wednesday.
Yeah, but even if it's the news, that's an interesting story there because, I mean, and I agree. I think that news story is a news story that NXT fans, older fans, probably have more of an interest in. 2 weeks ago, I think the news story of what's going on with the Capitol had younger AEW fans a little bit more interested in pulling them away from the product. So I do agree. I just think it's so weird that you can see that in the numbers, and it almost makes me sound or feel like I sound crazy to imply that that's what it is, but I really think that's what it is. Like, I think that there's an older generation of fans who tune into NXT, and they care a lot more about Trump specific, so when it's an impeachment thing, they're like, okay, we're going to miss NXT to see this. But when it's a situation of like something younger people might care more about, then that's where the AEW audience slips, like we saw last week. So I don't know if we'll see AEW start picking up more steam over the next couple of weeks. There's still going to be a lot of stuff competing with that, I feel like. So
yeah, next week on Wednesday, it's going to be the inauguration, right?
Yep. So, and that's. I mean, I think the inauguration would have happened will be an earlier in the day thing.
Yeah.
But it'll still be a news story that it will still generate, especially if anything else happens. Like hopefully not. Hopefully we're not in the middle of a whole nother situation of last Wednesday where the Capitol is going crazy or something like that. But so hopefully it can just be regular. But I think you're right. Like there is a lot with the news cycle going on that is pulling fans away. But we'll have to see, and it's a tough break for them. Again, they get on those runs of like really solid numbers, really great shows, and then something seems to happen in the world that pulls everyone's attention to reality. And you can't blame people for that because of what's going on. But it's a tough break for AEW once again. Every time they start seeing really consistent higher numbers, because even going into the Brody Lee tribute show, like they were doing really, really good numbers. That was obviously the peak number for some time, but it's interesting to see this drop off a little bit over the last couple weeks. But I think you're spot on. The news has a lot to do with that. The product has been fantastic. The Dynamites have been solid every week. I haven't had a whole lot to complain about. Bits and pieces here and there, but they've been delivering 100% on the show. Yeah. So
there was only one thing on this show we're going to talk about that I didn't like, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So and that when that's it, when there's only one thing, I feel like we're a little more vocal about those one things because they do rub us a little bit more. But outside of that, like there's never a whole lot to complain about, especially in recent memory. Like Dynamite has been on such a strong run that last night's show was really good, but it felt like average to an extent because how good every show has been up to this point, how good the Dynamites have been. Last night was really good. It just felt like, yeah, we're used to this now. It's almost like they need to have a bad show. Like, that's not what I want, but... No,
I get you, though. And, I mean, we can confirm this. The previous week, Ray Phoenix and Kenny Omega did, in fact, have a Meltzer-approved 5-star match.
Hey, there you go. So... I'm not surprised about that. That was
you're dead on. Like they've been having great show after great show after great show.
And so yeah, with something like that, and that show was so awesome. So they did a good job following up with this show. It's honestly a tough break having to follow that show. A 5-star match on regular television. We closed the show with the Bullet Club seemingly reuniting. Like it was tough to follow it up, but they did a good job. Let's go ahead and talk about it. They opened the show with a nice little hype video for Eddie Kingston versus Pac, which we can never complain about A, a hype video, or B, this match, because we love these two competitors, and the hype video before it was sweet because it gave a little bit more to the match. What do you think?
This was a fucking great way to open the show. This is, for a lot of people, this was the match they were tuning in to see. The other one obviously being Darby and Cage. But a lot of people, myself included, were really hyped for this one. And to open it with this, like play a hype video, get people invested, start the match, fuck yeah, dude, that's exactly what I want.
I would love to see that to be a thing on Dynamite where, not always, obviously, not every week, I don't need it to be an every week thing, but once every few weeks or every month or every couple months, the first match is important It's storyline driven, and it opens with a hype video. We open the show first thing, like, and get it almost in a routine where fans know, like, this is the week where we're opening up with the storyline close, almost, like, you know what I mean? It would be so cool, and I feel like this was cool too, because it obviously wasn't the end of their storyline. It was a build on a continuation of it, but a smart way to do it. And I'm very intrigued at the idea of opening a wrestling show with a hype video going directly into a match. I feel like that could be a really, really smart way to do stuff. Totally occasionally. So
not every week, but yeah, occasionally for sure.
So and I will note though, we are suckers for hype videos, so that also could be why I'm pushing for that. But no, this was a good match. I think a very interesting match as well, with Pac taking most of the offense. Eddie Kingston always looking great in what he does. And I saw a note, I was reading through a recap of the show, and someone had mentioned the way Kingston gets frustrated with himself in matches because he's not competing well enough. Just putting it like, he's working obviously, but working towards himself rather than getting frustrated at his opponent. It's a very interesting thing that Kingston does that I don't see very many wrestlers do at all, where he's like, damn it, I've missed that move, or damn it, I fell short in this match. And it's an element to Eddie Kingston that I think helps a lot.
He feels like a very real person in a real fight when he does that. Yeah, very authentic.
Yeah, so it's solid. Post-match, Pac locks in the Brutalizer, Butcher and the Blade come in, the Lucha Brothers come out, we get a bit of a standoff. Lance Archer comes out to even things up, I guess. That was kind of confusing why Archer felt
I think, because he was
needed. Yeah, and at the end he said that he and Pac need to get on the same page. So they're both anti-Eddie Kingston, which I totally understand, but it's still kind of... this is something I'm excited to see play out because I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. I will say, I'm totally into it because I love Lance Archer, I love Kingston, I love Pac.
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. I like all of these talent, and that's why I'm like excited about it. But I totally don't know what's happening. Like, and that's okay, 100%. But that's what makes me curious. Interesting story.
I just want to put over Pac. God damn, is he just so fucking good? Like, he could. I'm glad he won. I like Kingston a lot, but I feel like Pac should look strong consistently, because I feel like he's a guy you want to have on hold. Like, not on hold, I don't mean like he's a good hand, I just mean like if you ever need somebody to throw in the main event, Pac is like always there.
I agree 100%. Like, he's a good person to slot into that position that feels really comfortable as an upper mid-carder, but the second you need to give him that bump to the main event scene, he fits perfect. Kingston kind of just feels like really good in the upper mid-card role. When he needs to slide into the main event role, it was good. It proved me wrong, but it's not.
I don't think he could do it as frequently.
The way Pac does it, and it would be tough for Kingston to consistently lose in that position. I think Pac ends up looking really good in losing more often than not. So, but both are so great that it's tough. But I agree with you. Pac was the one who should win. It's a good move to have him look pretty dominant over someone like Kingston, who looks dominant himself. So.
Especially because, like, this is a guy who beat the current world champion. You know, they had like a best of 3, right?
Yeah. So I just keep pushing Pac, and that's always we've kind of knew that, you know, even with this feud with Kingston going directly into a feud with Pac, like, we knew it was essentially to hold Pac where he needs to be within the rankings and give him a formidable opponent, and so far it's been good. So I've been kind of surprised by this feud, honestly, and it's not to say I didn't expect it to be good, but they're both kind of bad guys, so.
I kind of hope that it's leading into a triple threat with Archer, Pac, and Kingston, to be honest.
Me too. I think that and on the pay-per-view especially, if they could do something like that, get some time to really go, that could be fun. I do wonder how you pull that off. It's not hard, obviously, but where it's at right now, I'm interested. And that's like, I'm so comfortable with AEW storylines now to say I'm just curious to see where it goes. I don't know what's going on, but I know they'll at least pay it off. I might not love the payoff, but it'll start to make sense soon. So that's all I can say. The next match, a bit of a payoff. Miro beating Chuck Taylor in 3.5 minutes, a really quick win. Chuck Taylor now becomes Miro's butler. They changed it from Young Boy, which I thought was funny.
I guess same difference, but a lot of people don't know what Young Boy is, so.
Yeah, and we get it within the wrestling world. It totally makes sense. to regular audience, it might sound strange. Why are you calling him a young boy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get that. So that was my immediate thought, is like they realized that sounded kind of funny to the casual audience, so they changed it. And that's fine. Poor Chuck Taylor, he was way too confident to have this happen.
He was like immediately like, let's do it.
And lost in quick fashion.
Yeah.
Poor Chuck Taylor, that's all I could say. I'm again interested where this is going. I like that this show was sort of setting the tone of storylines, not starting new ones, but continuing them. So
that it was 3 minutes and 30 seconds or however
that's
long.
I think you're a Chuck Taylor boy.
No, but like it makes Chuck Taylor look weak compared to Trent, because Trent like fought him for quite a while.
I agree. I think, and it's weird because I thought that Chuck was getting like primed to not necessarily be that character in AEW, especially after the strong run that they had as a tag team. So in that case, I understand, but I think it was more so to make Miro look like a dominant psycho. So in that case, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with making Miro look strong, and the story, we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting, but we'll have to see.
It'll be funny.
A lot of fun stuff is going to come from that. Hopefully, I could see them trying to be funny and missing, though. It's just that happens sometimes.
Well, I don't know. Chuck Taylor is always pretty good with that shit.
Yeah, but it's Miro, bro. I love Miro so much, but there's just some stuff that it ends up being funny for the wrong reasons. So, but that could be fun too. So, definitely not against this storyline. Curious to see where it goes. We follow that up with Dasha backstage interviewing Private Party. Why did you? Are they really called Hardy Party now?
They were called Hardy Party once, and I just write it in the notes because it's quicker.
Okay, I was like, what? Okay, so Private Party, Hardy Party, they're in the back getting asked about their new contract. Matt Hardy goes on a spiel for a minute talking about how he's the only one in AEW who cares about them and all this. This was an interesting thing. It felt
Did you see the being the elite thing?
I've seen the stuff that builds to this. Maybe not this week's, but I've seen some of it. So I get it.
This week's was that on TV he told them they had Cameo, and then on Being the Elite he told them that in the fine print he takes 50% of all the Cameo and third party stuff.
And I like, and that makes sense, and it feels it would be so much better maybe if WWE wasn't going through this stuff in the media within the last couple of months. Because it makes sense from I don't necessarily 100% feel like he's just taking shots at WWE, but because all of that has happened recently, it feels like it. And it doesn't have to be that way, because managers in general, like in the music scene, in other ventures, management screws you all the time. So this stuff would be like cool and make total sense if it wasn't like, oh, I feel like you're trying to be Vince McMahon now the same way Brody was a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't know. I feel like for me anyways, I think he's different enough from like that, and he's only doing those like specific things like on Being the Elite mostly. So I don't know. I feel like there's big money Matt from ROH. Also, I was gonna say I'm on Team Matt. These guys are idiots for not like sending this to a lawyer. They have enough money. That's
fair. They got suckered by Big Money Matt, and I do agree there. Like, fortunately, Matt has a character that already fits this situation. So in that aspect, like, I totally agree. But it's just some of the stuff he's saying, and it's very tough because it's like, it sounds like Vince McMahon, but it also sounds like any other shitty manager trying to screw people over, where he's like, I care about you more than anyone in AEW. I tell you to jump, you say how high. Like, stuff like that just feels like we're poking maybe, or maybe not even poking, but taking inspiration from Vince McMahon. And so that's where it's like, I'm in a situation where I'll wait and see, and I'll tell you this for a positive fact. This is better than anything I've seen from Matt and AEW so far.
Definitely.
It works way better for the Private Party because they will eventually somehow get out of this situation, you would assume. Or maybe they'll embrace it. Maybe they'll become top stars and just not care that he's screwing them over. That happens in real life all the time. So maybe that's the case. But it adds something for them. He's finally doing something consistent that I can care about. So in terms of that, I like it. I just hope that he can get a little bit away from, like, we've done the third party stuff. If it was meant to poke fun at WWE, great, you got it out of the way. If it wasn't, guess what? It's out of the way anyway. So that's honestly my only gripe with it. But I've spent too long griping about something that wasn't.
No, but
that
I
serious.
do like it though. Yeah, I like Matt Hardy. Like I like this Matt Hardy more than what we saw before. Teleporting Matt
Especially
Hardy.
this Matt with Private Party. Like before, when he was just kind of crazy or maybe didn't necessarily have much direction in general, it didn't do much for them. This does something for them. This story actually elevates them without having to attack him or anything. So, in that sense, it's very smart, very good. The next segment, we get the Inner Circle going back and forth for a minute. Jericho talking about how it's going to be a great year for them, tells everyone to say their New Year's resolutions. They say their New Year's resolutions. Jericho starts talking about how he and MJF are going to win the tag team championships. Santana and Ortiz take offense to that, obviously, as they're supposed to be the main tag team in the group. Sammy G calls Jericho a tag team slut, which I love that part because
I love that. That was
makes
great.
sense. Yeah, it's 100%. And then this concludes with Jericho saying that next week they're going to have a triple threat match to determine who is the official tag team of the Inner Circle. So we'll have.
I fucking love 2v2v2s.
And this one's pretty sweet. It's an interesting concept for sure. We got Jericho and MJF teaming up against Santana and Ortiz, and then Sammy G will be teaming with Jake Hager, and they've sort of established themselves as a team, but prior to this, so that's good. I'm with it. It should be fun. Should be cool. So
I loved that Sammy G did not get the Sammy Hager joke.
yes, I don't get it either. So there you go.
It's a famous musician, Sammy Hagar.
I will say that I figured, but I didn't. I don't know for sure. So yeah, cool. Thank you for explaining that to me, AJ. I'm in the same boat as Sammy G. Next,
I only know because we have an autographed picture of him. Sorry, go on.
Nah, you're good. Next, we get Alex Marvez backstage with the Dark Order. So, like I said, definitely continuing storyline stuff this week. 3 promos back to back to back. The Dark Order one is good, though, because it's good to see them back on TV. They ask Evil Uno what's next. Uno says everything they do in the future is in Brody's name, and they have to be better people. So, clear, honest face turn right there, it sounds.
I love it.
They
and
start
then Hangman, right?
Yeah, they start by asking Hangman if he wants to join the Dark Order. He says he'll let him know next week. So
after the match, yeah.
So that's very cool.
Because Hangman next week will be teaming with Dark Order. I don't remember who. I think Reynolds and Silver, but I could be wrong.
And that makes sense. And we'll have to see how this year plays out for them. But this is interesting. This is what we expected 100%. I think that they did this as good as you possibly could, waiting a week. Doing it very subtle, simple thing here, paying a little homage to Brody and continuing the story. And now they're going to be good guys as would be expected. Very interesting, especially with Hangman probably joining. It leaves Uno and Stu in a weird position, honestly, because with Hangman joining, he kind of feels like he, Reynolds, and Silver are kind of the 3. And then Uno and Stu should almost play bad guys, but obviously they don't want to right now. They don't want to be, and not even totally bad guys, but you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
I like how the face turn here is echoed later in this same show with Anna Jay, which we'll get to, but I did like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just sort of subtle. And it's subtle because it's short, sweet, not shoved down your throat, but it's still explained very easily. Like, yeah, we're gonna be good guys now, and this is why. So, good stuff. Another interview. This one first we got a hype video for Brian Cage versus Darby Allin. So shout out for that, just because hype video.
Hype videos.
Hype video
Keep doing them.
podcast, bro. Yeah. I love it, especially when something's had some build. Like, let's recap it before we get to the main event, as we should.
And did you watch the Road to, or were these hype videos the first time for you?
Yeah, this was the first time for me. So that's where Road 2 is great because it presents these, it's usually in longer form, but then you get them on the show as well. So that's sweet. If they didn't do Road 2, maybe they wouldn't even have them on the show, you know what I mean? So that's important. We get another interview, Dasha with the Elite. They're just saying a little bit about their match before they're spoken to by Don Callis, saying that they're going to have separate entrances. This sets up Don Callis to come out with Kenny, and they bring out the Good Brothers before the Young Bucks can come out to team. The
World Tag Team Champions, Kenny Omega's best friend.
Yeah, very good stuff. We got the Good Brothers in AEW teaming up with Kenny. They pick up a win over Danny Limelight and the Varsity Blondes, who honestly got a decent amount of time.
Yes.
Especially, and this might just be my bias for the Varsity Blondes, but I noticed them getting a lot of time to look good. I'm not super familiar with who Danny Limelight is. He looked fine in his...
He's a New Japan strong guy.
Oh, cool. So he looked decent in his showing. The Varsity Blondes looked really solid in their showing. They got some offense in. This wasn't just a 2-minute squash as I kind of expected. Instead,
Yeah,
it went
as
about
long as the opener, right?
9.5 minutes. And again, there was just a couple of moments where the Varsity Blondes were looking strong. They hit a couple
Definitely.
of good moves.
Griff Garrison, especially.
And that's funny you say that because I agree, but I personally thought Pillman looked great tonight, or last
Pillman
night.
looked great, but I didn't expect to be impressed by Griff Garrison, is what I should say.
And that's a fair point because I would agree with that. So a solid match. Obviously, those guys come out on the losing end as would be expected. Post-match, Jon Moxley comes out, tries to fight everybody off, but the numbers got to him too quick. The Lucha Brothers come out to try and make the save. A big old brawl breaks out. Everybody starts brawling. The Young Bucks come out to try and separate things, and the Lucha Brothers super kick them. I thought this was great. It was so funny, too, how the commentary was like, why did they super kick them? I'm like, come on, give me a break. You see the writing on the wall. You know what these guys are about to do to Moxley.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm glad they have this sense in AEW where it would never happen in WWE, where other guys are like, oh, we don't like that guy either, let's go fucking help Moxley. Whereas in WWE, all the faces are just scared to help each other for whatever reason. Oh, also, I wanted to say I was impressed by Lamplight because I had only seen him once on New Japan Strong, and I was like, damn, this guy has something. He could definitely be a player.
Man, keep Danny Limewire off my Dynamite, all right? Put
You don't
real,
like him?
Put real AEW guys on my TV. Nah, I'm just fucking around. He was good. He was good. I'm just shit talking. I should see more of him. I should check out some of the strong New Japan strong stuff, especially if they're bringing some of those guys in. That's cool. Good for AEW to do that. That's a smart way to continue hopefully building that relationship. So
Yeah.
After the big breakdown with Mox, we get the waiting room with Dr. Britt Baker, and I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't one that got a ton of my attention just because it started off a little
silly.
rough for me. It was fine though. We have Cody. He comes out, says it's been a huge year for him. They talk about the Go Big show, talk about how he has a baby on the way. Before he can get too much into it, Britt brings out his special guest Jade Cargill. They go back and forth, and what really confused me and threw me for a loop in this one was when it cut off. So it might not have cut off, but Thunder Rosa comes in and just starts cutting a promo on Britt Baker, and I'm like, there's so much going on.
Two feuds in this in one segment, and it was like, these aren't related.
Yes, and the hardest part is that Thunder Rosa, you could tell she had just shot her promo wherever she was at, and it just wasn't the best audio quality for me. And that's nitpicky shit, but it does stand out when you're watching an episode of Dynamite, and you're like, this is
seems
lower
like she
quality.
did with the phone from a different location.
And I get it. She's in a shitty predicament. Whatever's going on, she had come in contact with someone with COVID or some shit. So they want to keep her as far away as possible, obviously. But
that match was supposed to happen on this show. For anyone wondering,
and that's where it's a tough situation. Is the what was going on with Jade and Cody was already kind of And not Thunder Rosa, Red Velvet was kind of like, whoa, we got this going on. And the next thing you know, Thunder Rosa's there. And I'm like, whoa. And the next thing you know, her audio quality's bad. And I'm like, oh, my God. All right. But it wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me. That's all I'm going to say.
The next segment made up for it, right?
Yeah. And I'm glad at least that they are building that match. And that the match will when the match happens, I'm excited for it.
Really? Oh, you mean Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker?
Thunder Rosa and Britt, bro.
I thought you meant Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. I was like, why?
I don't have a horse in the race in that one. I would love to see Jade Cargill be impressive because she is an impressive woman in terms of her size and if she has ability to add to that, to be a big, strong talent. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of that in wrestling. You know what I mean? The giant.
The only person I can think of who's tall and is decent is Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, and so I would guess that Jade is probably quite a bit taller than Charlotte, but I don't know. That's just guessing. But yeah, that was a fine segment. I don't have a whole lot to say negatively about it. It just wasn't for me. Like you said, the next match makes up for it. We have FTR picking up the victory over the Jurassic Express in about 12.5 minutes. This was a really good match. Jurassic Express looked really solid throughout it. We got the finish that you would expect, the winning team. Marco got fucking wrecked by that big rig, so that was great.
I didn't expect this to be 13 minutes though, not at all. I was like, oh, this will be like maybe 8 minutes if anything. But no, they really made Marco and Jungle Boy look strong against FTR.
And I hope we just can continue to see that. This is a team that I feel like we've just been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
And waiting for something.
Now they have a cool theme.
Yes, and that maybe is the kicker, and maybe that's what Tony Khan has been waiting for, to get the rights to the theme song. But yeah, they're gonna be
Push him until he has Tarzan Boy.
They're gonna be solid this year. The tag team division is gonna be crazy this year because we're gonna see teams like Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes elevate into higher positions, and AEW already has like the best tag teams in wrestling signed to them.
It's such a deep division.
And then they're like, let's make more. Like, let's not be satisfied with the fact that we have at least 4 of the best tag teams in professional wrestling on our roster. Let's make more tag teams. Let's make the Acclaimed. Let's make the Varsity Blondes. Like, the Jurassic Express wasn't even a team until, like, Tony Khan has helped facilitate 3 insane teams, honestly, that I imagine we'll see grow this year. So, yeah, good match. Serena Deeb taking on Tay Conti, defending the NWA Championship. This match didn't do a whole lot for me, but
this, but I feel like the hype video would have helped because there was one on Road 2 if you had saw it. Because I was like, before I was like, I don't really care about this match, and then the hype video happened. I was like, this is interesting. Because Tay Conti was like repping the Dark Order, and Serena Deeb said she had a hand in trading Tay Conti, and Tay Conti was like, bull fucking shit. And I was like, oh, cool.
That is cool.
And also in this match, Tay Conti was pretty good for somebody who like there have been a lot of doubters for Tay Conti, including me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, she really is a perfectly fine wrestler. And Serena Deeb is Serena Deeb. You know, she's great.
It's kind of strange, and it might just be me, but it's kind of strange hearing Jim Ross talk her up the whole match about like
I wasn't paying attention to Jim Ross.
And again, it could super be just me and me just being crazy, but I feel like he's just the whole match like every move Tay Conti does is the best move I've ever seen, and I'm
I thought you were talking about Serena. That's how much I didn't listen.
Yeah, no. So again, it could just be me. Maybe I'm only hearing those statements from Jim Ross. That's all I'm tuning into. But it's interesting to me to hear him get someone over, because I still have that sentiment of, is Tay actually that good? So when I hear him say that, I don't necessarily know if I agree, but it's cool to hear him put that into people's minds. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that drop kick was phenomenal, and just stuff to make you think that she's a great wrestler, even though she might be a little bit greener than everybody knows.
Just average.
Yeah, and I would say we've been surprised by her. Like, we've doubted 100%, but that's based on sort of what we saw in NXT or what we didn't see in NXT. And since she's joined AEW, it's not like she's hit home runs or 5-star matches, but they've all been solid. So, yeah.
Really, you're right. They've all been solid. The tag team matches were solid, and that's not just because of Anna Jay. Tay Conti held her own, and her singles matches have been solid. And this match, I think, is like the real showcase to tell you, like, yeah, she's good.
100%. And post-match, there was a little situation with her and Anna Jay that you said facilitated the face turn a little more.
Well, it just that Anna Jay, I did hear this on commentary. They were talking about it like Anna Jay didn't get involved, the Dark Order didn't get involved, and after the match, her and Anna Jay were just like holding hands, and she was like, encouraging her and like being there for her. But I thought it was cool that Anna Jay is basically a face. Like, she's not like running in and beating the shit out of this girl.
Which easily could have happened and would be okay. Like, I wouldn't be mad at her being the only one who was a heel or something. But this is better. Like, this is probably cooler. So yeah, good stuff. Women's division is slowly but surely being built up. So
I also like it because the only other female tag team we have is heel.
Yep. So yeah, it works out. Then we have Taz come out to join commentary for the main event. We have Darby Allin defending the TNT Championship against Brian Cage. Manages to successfully defend in about 13 minutes. Bill. Yeah, dude. What a win for Darby. A significant victory, 100%. They main event the show.
He got the shit kicked out of him in this match. He was ragdolled. He was thrown upside down in the turnbuckle. He was thrown like fucking 10 feet out of the ring through a table that's way far away from the ring.
He did a coffin drop on the stairs.
Got a coffin drop on the stairs. And he said this but he is not going to have a long career. He's literally said it, and he said like the skateboarding shit hurts him more than this. So like he is like by his like 30s, fucking that's gonna be it.
Hopefully
I'm
not.
not saying I like that. I don't want that to be the case, but like if he keeps doing shit like this, that's gonna be the case.
And the one thing where I'll say like that sucks, but it's not like I normally with some wrestlers like Will Ospreay is an example where I was always kind of worried about it. With Darby, this is I could tell he just wants to wrestle like this, like he wants to constantly put his fucking body on the line and wants to end his career.
It kind of reminds me of Daniel Bryan, actually.
Like there's no pushing this guy to stop to change his style. Like Will changed his style because he could see that he likes to do this high flying maneuvers but wants to keep longevity with his career. I could tell Darby's like I could, but fuck that, like this is what I do and I'm used to it. So and he's always done it since Evolve and everything. So I agree to an extent with the Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson comparison, but like if he did a bunch of death matches or some shit, you know what I mean? Like But and
kind of like maybe Jeff Hardy's a better comparison.
Yeah, for sure. Nonetheless, the match was solid. Darby got his ass kicked, like you said. It was great for him to pick up a victory like this over someone like Brian Cage. Because
I thought he was gonna lose, because I thought it was like Cody and Brody all over again. Like I thought he was gonna get the shit kicked out of him and fucked up until they had to stop the match.
And this one has
he was
built
bleeding
to
too.
it. Like this goes all the way back to Brian Cage's debut where he like killed Darby. And Darby was out of that match, remember? So there's like history between these guys. They had a solid match. I don't anticipate this to be the end of their story, so maybe Cage does come out with the championship at some point, or maybe Ricky Starks does. I would love that. I'm a big Ricky Starks fan. Darby's looked great so far as champion. Kudos to both Cody and Brody Lee for helping establish that title, because it's helping establish Darby now, which is fantastic. Like that belt is doing something. And first it started with them doing something for the belt. And I'm not trying to say that Darby was like a low level talent and this is making him a main eventer or anything, but this took him from a upper mid card status to a legitimate main event contender, because he's defending his title now successfully against a guy like Brian Cage. This can now be considered a successful, solid run. Like a loss to Cage here wouldn't have been a major disappointment, but it would have made his run look kind of weak and bring the value of the belt down a little bit. This elevates everything with the belt, so I think this was great.
Agree.
So
yeah. And I thought Cage was I thought it was literally, when I was watching Petro, like they're gonna end it with stoppage, beat the shit out of him more, and Sting's gonna come out and help him. But I didn't, like when Darby won, I was like, fuck yeah!
I wouldn't have been mad at
really
that
had
either.
me on the edge of my seat. No, I wouldn't have. Because I was like, Cage wins, I'm not gonna pitch a fit. I just want Darby to win, and I love the fact that I actually want Darby to win. Like he's a babyface I can really get behind.
I like that too, and I didn't even think about that. There's only so many talent, and that's because AEW has a roster full of guys that I like. That generally, I'm like, I don't really care who wins because I like both of these guys. But Darby is one of those guys that I cheer for, kind of over most other guys that he's facing, because I just prefer him. He's got that underdog story to him, that Rey Mysterio feel to him, where you're like, I want to see him overcome these odds. There's no way he can.
Bro, I was sad. I was sad when I went to Bash at the Beach and he was wrestling Pac, because I was like, I gotta root against my boy.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but that's a situation where I'd probably root against Darby too. But yeah, Darby's so great, and to see, this is not someone that I would have picked and said he's going to be
not at all
a main event level competitor in a year. After his match with Cody, I was like, this is great for Darby. This has elevated him, and it's just happened consistently over the last year that now he's in a great position, a phenomenal position, and he's becoming like one of these stars of AEW, because even though we're like fans of him, he has like super fans. Like he because he's like that Jeff Hardy and enigmatic character. Yeah. He has those fans that are like diehard teenage girl, like just in love with that type of hardcore reckless character that is what helps Darby as well. Like he's a superstar, I feel like. So
yeah. And I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like what you were saying in the beginning, we were probably talking about Jungle Boy in this position more than Darby, and look where we are with these two. And not that Jungle Boy is bad or it being misused. I feel like he could be better, but like Darby has just blown everybody away, I feel like.
Every opportunity he's been given, he's shined with, and
Yeah.
this is obviously a prime example of that. As he's gotten the belt, it's not looked bad. It's not been a bad position for the belt or for him. It both have been elevated by it, and both look better coming out of it. So it's been super solid, and I would say you're probably right, and that's what feels so weird about it, because I would say, like, how were we so wrong? And I think that we assumed it with Jungle Boy, especially because we were like, oh, he's in a tag team, like they could really do something in the tag team division and then switch him out of that, or have him feud with MJF, or just the various different things I thought they could or would do with him and then didn't. Whereas Darby, I was like, he's gonna be like a death match kind of throw in, like Jimmy Havoc was and Joey Janela was. Those three were thrown in a match together, and Darby's the one who's really getting the opportunity to shine right now. So I love it.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that match.
It's crazy to see how far he's come from that, like, I think he might have, I don't know if he took the fall, but I know he didn't win that match. I know Jimmy Havoc did, so it's
I think
crazy.
you're right, yeah.
Crazy how things have changed in the last year, how Darby is literally a bona fide superstar in AEW, one of the top talents, top draws for me, at least, so.
Got an action figure, and I won it.
Yeah, 100%, and he's closing out Dynamite. Like, that's a big position, in my opinion, to close out with Brian Cage, and put on a good match. And we didn't even talk about the fact that Sting came out. He stopped Ricky Starks from getting involved. It is a little weird still, the Sting stuff, but I'm not mad at it.
It
felt
like after this, it feels like, okay, it's solidified. Let's do some talking now.
Or something. Yeah, I would like to know why he's sticking up for Darby, because
Even if it's a video package, I don't care.
Yeah, because it's strange that all we really have to run off of is a meme joke of us pretending he's his dad. Like, we obviously know he's not his dad, but outside of that, like, why else is he there? Why else is he coming out to save him? Is it they just have masks? Like, they share mask love for each other, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, they got black and white face paint. They're good friends because of that.
I'm not against that theory, but I need it explained to me just a tiny bit. But it's still fun, and I love that they're doing it, because I could also see them not running with this angle because it just makes so much sense, or because it could be seen as too goofy, I guess, the mask and the mask thing. But I love that they're doing it because it does fit. It does feel right. It just needs to be fleshed out a little more, and I think that that's coming.
Yeah.
I think that him getting involved, stopping Ricky Stark, stuff like that, and who knows, maybe that's like Sting's role in general. He's just like an enforcer for Darby. I
think now that you say it, this definitely leads to Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin again, because like Sting getting involved and stopping Ricky Starks, Taz was going to say that's why they lost the match, and because Sting interfered, even though Ricky Starks was going to interfere, so it's not over. And there's two other people in Team Taz for Darby to face. And also, I just wanted to throw this out there. I listened to the Wrestling Observer Live like a while back, and they were talking about what if somebody predicted on the show in 2021 Darby Allin will get a sponsorship from a skateboard company, and I was like, that would be fucking awesome.
That would be
They
fucking
need to
dope.
do that.
Yeah, I would love to see that type of crossover for AEW. Just sponsorship stuff like that in general would be very smart to add
That's
legitimacy,
genius.
in my opinion. When people see brands that they recognize associated with your product, they immediately bring it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think that
Yeah.
could be something that we haven't seen much of with professional wrestling companies in the U.S. But
In a long time, anyways.
MMA does it. Like, at least they used to. I guess I don't watch a whole lot of MMA to know if they still have the sponsors on the Octagon, but that type of
It's
stuff.
weird because it was happening a lot in the 90s with WCW, but then it just kind of went away, and because they died, and WWE doesn't like doing that.
Yeah, so I would love to see AEW do it, especially if talent can get involved in that type of shit. That would be beautiful.
That would be
especially
awesome.
Especially for someone like Darby, who may not have the longest career. So get all that money while you can, brother. So
Fuck yeah.
a great episode of Dynamite. A great way to close out with that match. It was a really solid match. They had stiff competition after last week's main event, so it's not like it was better than that one. But they put on a hell of a show. It was a great great title match to close out the show. Somewhat of a pay-per-view. They promoted these as special weeks, special events. So I'm curious to see where they go after this, honestly, because of this. Because
Isn't this going to be the last in Daly's place?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because isn't the last in Daly's place before the pay-per-view?
I'm not sure. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I'm almost
Sorry.
positive. I'm almost positive they're moving to Miami for the pay-per-view, and then we'll run there following the pay-per-view. You could be right though. That would be very interesting if next week we have a totally different venue. I am excited for that, to be totally honest, to get a new venue, to see different setup. Maybe they have a new idea of how to place fans in this Miami area where it feels more lively, more mic'd up or something like that. Nonetheless, it's exciting. Dynamite next week should be good because we're building to something else. How far out are we from the pay-per-view?
It's in February. We're a good bit, a little away from it. I feel like
February
we're another...
27th, so another month and a week. Yeah, that's exciting. That's fun. I'm excited for that. Revolution.
I think
in
we're having
February.
more big TV shows before that even.
Yeah, I imagine they're doing the awards show for sure, and then I think you're right. There's one more important show by then. Is it? Are they doing that like beach break or something like that? Or
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, so they have that to come, about a month and a half to plan the pay-per-view. Yeah, so I expect next week to start being the very slow build beginning points. We're gonna start getting an idea of a couple of matches, I would say. Obviously not anything announced or laid in stone, but I think we'll start getting an idea of where we're headed next year. Or not next year, next pay-per-view. All right, cool. We'll wrap up Dynamite. Covered everything. Any news bits we missed? Nah, I think we're good. All right, AJ, let everybody know where they can find you and we can get out of here.
You can follow me on Twitter at BigMatchAJ, and you can follow me on Instagram at AJTheFitzy.
And as always, you can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/AllElitePod. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/AllElitePodcast. If you're watching us there, make sure you smash that subscribe button, brother. We are also on Twitter at AllElitePodcast. You can find me on Twitter at UpstateAndrew. I'm on Instagram at AndrewKazir. Thank you guys for continuing to support us, tuning in every week, downloading